All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. and it is June. It's hard to believe that it is June 7th. Appreciate you all being here this morning. We have quite a few things to talk about, so we're going to try to make this very productive. Would you all join me in the pledge? Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Our first topic is an update from Brian Privet with the Isaiah House. Brian, thank you for being here with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Appreciate the partnership and
absolutely.
Thanks for your time.
I want to thank the court for continuing that partnership because I think we've gotten off the ground now and it's getting ready to be a lot more fruitful than it has in the past, even though we've had some good success. Want to give you just some updates, and then we'll talk about, I know everybody wants to talk about the NET device too, which we met with those folks this week too, so I can update you on two topics today.
That's good.
With the behavioral health clinic that we have down there, we currently have 52 clients, which is the most we've ever had. I think the last time I reported to the court we had 30 or so. It's continuing to grow. Those are all Scott County residents who have either come to us from returning back from in residential treatment, from the court, or just off the street. We have some folks that are finding their way. We don't advertise or anything, but word of mouth, they're finding their way there. So we've got that. We're not even half capacity is the thing, though. We only have one therapist there right now, and we have space to hire two. So that's what I met with Cam a couple weeks ago to talk about some different ways to make sure that the courts and the jails are continuing to use this and make it easier for them, because I know especially when you're doing district court dockets and you have, 250 people on for the day or whatever, you're not going to take time to think about all of the options in every individual case. So we're trying to make some automatic kind of things to do that. But everything else is going well there. We just have to streamline those kind of processes. They're getting good care, and that's what we wanted. So thank you all for continuing supporting that.
Impacting 52 individuals and having, hope for a path to, to a productive life. I appreciate your all's work, and what questions would anyone have from the court, and then maybe you could update us how you all could possibly collaborate with the NET device and that.
Any questions on the clinic?
Well, not here in particular. I was just wondering how many, facilities does Isaiah have? I know it's more than Willisburg. I know it's more than here.
Right now we have 7 residential facilities across Kentucky. We have 3 outpatient clinics, including the one here in Georgetown. Getting ready to open another one in Lexington in partnership with Rescue Mission. Lexington Rescue Mission will also serve homeless folks down there. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we'll stop growing for a little bit so we can catch our breath after that. But we've got, we're doing recovery housing is the next big thing. We opened a place in Louisville that holds 80 folks in pods that get peer support services, transportation to work, all that kind of stuff. Recovery housing is the next step. Nobody pays for that. Medicaid, Medicare, state, nobody pays for it. It's a losing proposition for a business, which is why we can do it as a nonprofit, because we can't make money anyway. So I might as well spend it on folks that need help. But that's kind of the next step is once you get out of treatment, once you get out of residential, if you're going to an outpatient clinic or if you're just going to step meetings or something, you need a safe and sober place that supports that recovery. And that's the problem right now. The state has a lot of regulations coming out with to deal with bad actors in the recovery housing space. All of our places are already NAR certified. We're ahead of the state. We'll be certified on July 1st when that law goes into effect. So we're just trying to expand that as much as possible to give people continuation of care, support in the recovery, support in the sobriety.
Brian, so when that residential treatment, can you walk me just briefly into that relationship? So is that someone, a private owner who provides a facility and you all rent that from them?
We own everything.
You all purchase a facility.
We
so
do.
You could potentially be looking to purchase a facility in Georgetown or Scott County?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No. Kentucky right now has the most residential beds of any state in the United States. We have almost 8,000 residential beds for residential treatment.
The real need, what he's discussed, is the recovery housing.
It's after
the wraparound support services.
Yeah.
And a place to put your head after you find a job, and then you have access to group sessions, individual sessions.
Right.
It's just that continuum of care that people need.
What we do is we keep folks in residential, and if they go through the long-term program, they're staying in residential, like in one of the centers, for about 5 months, 5 or 6 months. After that, we put them out in the community to get their feet wet and to start working and start paying bills and things like that. That is the recovery housing. That's where they're out in the community, but they still have the support, the accountability, and everything like that. If you want, it's probably a bad example, but think of a halfway house.
That's what in my mind was what working. I was just trying to understand the business part of it, if that was something that you all were renting or you purchased.
So the majority of the recovery housing we own now too, because just because of the standards, especially with the new state laws that are coming out. There's really specific standards about the quality and the size and things like that. So right now we have more recovery housing beds than we do residential treatment beds. And that will continue to grow because that's where the need is. At one point, Isaiah House only had one recovery housing bed for every 3 people that wanted it. We don't take from outside in the community. We only take Isaiah House folks. At this point, we've doubled the size of our recovery housing beds, and we're going to increase it by probably another 4th or 3rd the next year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, not kind of a segue into the net device and talking about, well, I think this net device, when it gets up and running, it's going to be radical.
Yeah.
Helping people quickly. But with that said, the evidence is there in their study that they presented. Well, we saw some of it, and that they presented to the FDA. But not only the withdrawals that they can take care of almost immediately within 30 minutes, the desire is taken away for most people long term. But still, these things that you were just discussing with us, they need those wraparound services. Mm-hmm. Those folks have got legal issues. Some of them have psychological issues. Mm-hmm. They need jobs. They need help in all that category. So segue into the net device, because I know you guys are ramping up.
With the clinic that we have down here in partnership with you all, we have all those services there. For the folks that come in, we have targeted case managers and peer support that can help them get jobs. It's behavioral health.
But also, that's going to continue to be needed.
That's going to continue, those services.
That's what's always impressed me. I mean to cut you off there. It impressed me with the Isaiah House when I first heard of them, 2009, 2010. I went down there and visited. My wife and I in the past have supported the Isaiah House. That's what's always impressed me. They've got that holistic approach.
Yeah.
I mean, they were looking at the legal side, the mental health side, the whole. They need education, maybe. They need jobs. Some of those folks, even 10 years ago, were leaving the Isaiah House, going out in the community with college credits that they got with their partnership with Campbellsville. I don't know if you guys are still doing that or not. Yeah. But that's a pretty big. You guys got a pretty good program. I've always thought it's probably premier in the nation. I have no way of knowing that. But I just think it is.
Yeah.
And other places should be modeling after, in my view,
Yeah.
after you guys. But anyhow,
Well, thanks.
I'm excited for that partnership that I think the net device is going to take it to another level, what you guys are doing, I think.
Okay. So to close up the clinic real quick, and I'll just transition to that device. I'll come back whenever y'all want me to update, or I can just send you current numbers. But as soon as I can get some of the stuff in work that Cam and I talked about, I expect the numbers to go up quite a bit. So that's what I'm just wanting to make sure that you all get a good return on your investment from a utilization standpoint, and that we help as many people as possible in Scott County. So if I probably have higher standards than, because it's my backyard, and but thank you all for continuing to support that. Net device was approved by the FDA for withdrawal assistance from opioids. Now we know from all the research that it's got a lot more other effects. But what the net can say right now is that it's approved for assistance withdrawal from opioids. So normally what happens now, if somebody goes into residential treatment right off the street, they're withdrawing from fentanyl. Because, we're not talking about heroin anymore. We're talking about fentanyl. Nobody can even find heroin on the street anymore, I don't think. Those withdrawal symptoms are really bad. Cramps, sweats, all kinds of stuff. It's incredibly painful. The current pharmaceutical regimen right now would include Suboxone, some comfort meds, things like that. What Net Device does, and I think you all know this, is it's a electronic transmission behind the ears, hits the vagus nerves, and it within 30 minutes there's a cessation, or at least an easing of the withdrawal symptoms, and the folks never have to go on that Suboxone or buprenorphine or anything else. So what they've been approved for is that initial. Now it's not a long-term situation. It's 3 to 7 days, because within 3 to 7 days your withdrawal symptoms are gone. So that allows them to get into their treatment that much quicker. So I know you all have promised the opioid abatement money for that. We are going to start using it on June 17th. They just got approved this week. They flew in from California and said they rented an Airbnb over in Jessamine County that's not even done yet. That's how quick things are moving. But we got everything in place yesterday, and we're going to start using it June 17th. They've just got to hire people at this point. We worked with them for 15 years before they were doing the study, while they're doing the study, and now we can just pop in and do it real quick. Isaiah House is going to be the exclusive Net Device user, I guess, for the foreseeable future in the United States. We got a call from Colorado this week wanting to come in. I was like, well, we're not quite ready yet, but the long-term benefits are there, but we want to make sure that it's in conjunction with treatment. Because once those withdrawal symptoms go away, then they got to start working on their brain and all the psychological and trauma issues that they have, which is what they can get to quicker. But the success rates are incredible with those.
So what, in your opinion, what's the route, the best path for us to coordinate with the Isaiah House and the Net Device folks with agencies here in Scott County, like our courts, our jail, our community paramedicine program?
Yeah.
Those agencies to identify individuals that are in active addiction. And from what I understand, if you're using Suboxone, that counts as active addiction for the Net Device treatment. Is that correct?
Now, I'm not sure about Suboxone. What it's been approved for is because the Suboxone has that extra, it's basically Narcan that's mixed with the opiate. The way to identify somebody is somebody who will go through active withdrawals immediately. You're looking at somebody that will be, because this is only approved for residential setting, and it's when it's at that initial first entry into residential.
At 5 to 7 days or whatever.
5 to 7 days. That's it. And we want them to stay for longer so they can get some of the skills that they need to get back on the street. So, but I think the way to identify people is pretty easy, because when it's somebody who's coming in to an ER, somebody who's overdosed, somebody who's in jail and having withdrawal symptoms, those are the guys that need it.
Yeah, I think we need to make a real effort to communicate to the court, and the jail, when they identify, like, could they call our Isaiah House contact and the net device and make sure that we're coordinating there, and
that would be a problem. We already have a procedure in place with the jail. We talked to Darren, and we have space in there we can go if we can get in to do assessments and things like that. So we already have a procedure there. It's just a matter of making sure that all the parties together. But as soon as the net device is June 17th, as soon as we do it, it's right there, because they're going to be on site.
Okay.
I did ask Net about outpatient uses because of down here, because we have an outpatient clinic here and one in Bullitt County. Both of you and Bullitt County have promised money to the net device, and so I said, can we serve those two counties in an outpatient setting? And they're looking into it, but it would be, because when they have it on, they have to be examined like every 15, 30 minutes. It would be, somebody would go down there and they would have to sit all day long. Yeah. So it's just a matter of they're looking into it.
The inpatient 5 to 7 days is really the way to go.
Yep.
Well, we really appreciate you being here, and look forward to.
Well, one other comment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
From watching the final fix, which was done in 2018, I think, I'm not sure, but I know I shared it with all the court members. I think about everybody's watched it, and many people in our community, as a matter of fact, because I've been promoting this for a long time. But I'm pretty sure, and of course the medication could have changed, I don't know, but a couple of those participants in that 2018 documentary were trying to get off of Suboxone.
Okay.
Now, Suboxone could have changed. I don't know, because you said it's mixed with some other things, and I have no idea.
So here's the state of the insurance industry at this point. If somebody comes in on Suboxone and they want to get off, they are not eligible for residential treatment insurance coverage, because the Medicaid MCOs and insurance company, well, they don't need treatment. They're fixed. They're on Suboxone. They're okay. That's where we want them. Literally, you cannot get approval if somebody comes in for Suboxone. So that might be an outpatient type situation where we could do something like that.
Tell him
but
that Dave Lewis is trying to get in the Zoom.
yeah, it's kind of crazy that that's what it is.
I'm glad I brought that up.
Yeah, they want, the current regimen is a maintenance drug for the rest of your life is okay, even if it's methadone.
Say that again, please.
The current regimen, what SAMHSA and what the National Institute of Drug Addiction says, maintenance drug for the rest of your life is okay.
Maintenance drugs.
We're not talking about just Suboxone. We're talking about methadone too.
Right. Is there another name for methadone?
No. It's the methadone's been around since like the 40s and 50s. It's straight opioid.
They're good. They're good with maintenance.
Yeah.
I'm good with helping these people
Right.
get off of it.
Right.
Wow.
I'm going to choose to focus on what we can influence.
Me too.
And
Oh, me too. I'm for
and
it.
give it to the good Lord what we can. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
We'll move right now to Lori and John. And Temple could not be with us. Roy's here. JR's here. All part of the Lytle's Fork Advisory Board. But John and Lori are going to give us a little update. And Temple was going to be here, but something came up with work. So I'll turn it over to you all to start real quick here.
Well, never fear. Temple sent me a list of stuff. Don't worry. Yeah, you want to start about the mountain bike race because it was fabulous.
Well, thank you all so much for having me. As you know, I'm John Strom. I'm the president of the Kentucky Mountain Bike Association. I want to appreciate you for giving me, or thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time to give you a race report. It's not something you probably hear very often in here, but we had our first mountain bike race at the Lytles Fork property on the Skullbuster Trails on May 18th.
Just a little muddy.
Well, we'll get there.
I just made it more fun.
The trails themselves were exceptionally well received by all of our people that came out and rode with us, and the community support from Scott County was absolutely unmatched. We really do appreciate everything and everyone who came out from Scott County and helped us make it a good event. Our general consensus, this is a great first event at this property, and we look forward to doing it again, even though Mother Nature decided to make her presence known for us. As you may have heard, it rained. And it rained a lot the week leading up to it. I've never seen the Bluegrass Mountain Cup consider postponing a race, but we got real close on this one. And so we had pretty much less than ideal conditions. It started with a wet day, and we actually kind of hoped it would continue raining because it would have kept everything soggy enough that it wouldn't stick. But unfortunately, the rain stopped. It turned into a beautiful day for everybody unless you're pedaling a bike. Feather light race bikes quickly gained 10, 15 pounds apiece, and the Kentucky clay caked onto their frame, their drivetrain, their wheels. But even though everybody's bikes got a little heavier, the spirits remained really light, and everybody had a really good time. I'm going to introduce you to a term in the outdoor community called Type 2 fun. I don't know if you've ever heard of Type 2 fun. Type 1 fun is, this is fun. I am in the moment, I'm having a good time doing this. Type 2 fun's a little different. Type 2 fun is a type of adventure that's challenging and hard, and you kind of hate it while you're doing it. But when you get done and you start cleaning up and you get a little food in you and your energy level comes back, you look back on it real fondly and you realize that was a lot of fun. And you start bragging to your friends about it, and before you know it, you're scheduling your next race. I think pretty much anybody who's done any sort of endurance event has found this before. And that's exactly what we had here. Riders embrace the suck. That's another phrase we use a lot in our community. And they supported each other. They made the most out of a muddy day in the woods, and it became a really fun day, laid the groundwork for other great events out at Lytles Fork, I think. After the race, we sent our participants an exit survey about their experience. We do this with every one of our races. We had about 70 riders show up, which is pretty good for a first event at a place like this. And not everybody towed the line. A few people bowed out when they saw what the conditions were going to do. But according to the responses we've got, 90% of the riders who were there said they were highly likely, very likely, or definitely coming back to Skullbuster again. Most of the participants were day trippers. They came from relatively local areas, probably within an hour and a half of where we are. But they still spent about $20 a piece on a day for food and about $35 to $40 a piece on fuel, and then other assorted things they spent on in town. 50% of the riders who came visited the trails before the event, and more than 60% of those folks came more than once to come get them a ride. So an event like this brings people into Scott County, and I'm happy that we were able to do that. The general consensus, like I said, is that with better conditions, riders will definitely be back here for this one. So when I was hoping to bring you all some photos to show you just kind of the smiling faces and muddy bikes, but I had some computer problems this morning. So if you'll let me, I'll send some of those photos via email so y'all get a look at it, because I think you'll get a kick out of it.
For sure.
As we kind of debrief on this, there are some things we can definitely look to improve out of the property and how we run the event. But we are looking forward to doing this again out at Skullbuster and at the Lytles Fork Recreational Area if you'll have us. We greatly appreciate how comprehensive the response was we got from Scott County. We had great support out there, and we look forward, and we can't thank you all enough for that. The community was there, public services were there, and the lady standing to my left is an absolute dynamo in getting things done in your community and is a joy to work with. So I hope that you all appreciate what you have here, because that's not what most counties have. According to the race director, his exact words were, the support from Scott County was unmatched, and he absolutely loved working with the crew. We look forward to hosting more events in Scott County. So thank you all very, very much for continuing to support outdoor recreation in Scott County, and we look forward to doing more events here. So,
all right. Thank you.
I was just going to say, it was a wonderful day when he talks about how the mountain bikes gained a little bit of weight. He's talking about essentially that clay turned into peanut butter. It was like riding through peanut butter. So a lot of extra work went into their ride, especially the ones who did 6 hours long. But they came out with a smile. It was really funny. Several of them afterwards, they're like, we're hitting the car wash, and we never have to do that. But this time, we're going to car wash our bicycles and ourselves. So the pictures are going to be a lot of fun, and we can't wait to share them with you. I know Judge Covington was able to come out there, and we so appreciated you doing that and the support. We also had a film crew that was out there that day because we're going to be working on some comprehensive advertising and marketing for the mountain bike trails and the hiking, not the horseback riding. And we'll be very careful with that just yet until we're quite ready to do that. But we're super excited. We also had an influencer out there who was able to pop stuff up as the day was going on. So it was a really, really fun day, and I am so excited and so proud of how it turned out and the support that you all lent us. Couldn't have done it without JR on the lands. He worked very hard for us. And also, all of our public servants, we could not have done it without Mike Hennigan. He took the lead on everything for us and coordinating all of our public safety out there. And it was just an amazing day, I think. So we can't wait to host another one. We've even had a couple of people reach out about hosting just a children's race out there. So we're excited about that, too. Now, for Temple stuff. Get to it really, really quick. So first, you all know we had some short-term goals. We are happy to say that we have met all of those short-term ones, which was our name. And I put you all a sticker up there and a bumper sticker so you all can see the logo. We've also got our rules, and our rule signs are in place, so we're excited about that. Signage is in the process. There's going to be a big sign that's like this out there, and JR is currently in the process of getting that made and out there. The parking improvements that you all made for us with the gravel, such a big help on the day of, and it's going to be continue to be a big help as we see more and more people go out and utilize the facilities. Some of our next goals that we're looking at is low water crossings. We've identified a few places that it would be nice if we could easily cross some of that stream to make it easier for people to access the trails. Bathroom facilities, that's one thing that we're going to be kind of discussing that probably is going to look more like portalettes for a while, but that's one of the things we're just going to be discussing. And having garbage receptacles out there. The good thing is the people who do outdoor adventure, they appreciate the outdoors, so they're not leaving a lot of mess out there. So we're very thankful about that, but we do feel like we probably need to get some garbage receptacles there. And lastly, one of the big things that we really want to take some time to delve into and explore was something that Judge Covington mentioned, and that was the possibility of one day repaving Stockdale. On the day of the mountain bike race, there were quite a few people, families, women and children that were out there walking on Stockdale. And when I got to talking to them, it turns out they use that as their little hiking area, that it's very common to see quite a few people out there, and paving it would just be an enhancement to it. It would also make it a whole lot easier for people with disabilities to be able to utilize that. And what a beautiful place to be able to open up that would be ADA accessible to people who want to go out and hike there. So those are just some things that we're currently working on. Of course, we'll constantly be coming back with more stuff, but we invite you to attend any of our meetings that were hosted. We'd certainly love to get any information, feedback that you all have for us, and things that we aren't working on that maybe you think we should be. So thank you all again for your support, not just for the mountain bike race, but also for Lytle's Fork Recreation Area. It is becoming quite the attraction, and I think it's something that our entire community can be very proud of.
I can't take credit for, that's something JR and I talked about, like the potential, could you pave part of it? Could you put gravel down first and make Stockdale a little bit more accessible? And that's something we can definitely look at and talk about. And I've gone out to Stockton on several occasions, especially in the fall. It's just a beautiful Sunday afternoon stroll, and just walking along the creek there, and so I think the place has got great potential, and I appreciate all you all have done, and appreciate Mike, JR, and fire department, sheriff's office, police department, all that work that went into making the race safe, and we look forward to continuing the potential of that. So,
well, I appreciate that. I'll echo what she said. That road gets used every time I'm out there for my ride. There is a lot of people, often with canes or walking sticks, walking up and down Stockton. So, any improvements that could be made to that, I think, would go a long way. But,
any comments or questions? Roy, you got anything to say?
I need to make the horse stuff official one of these days.
No, we definitely work on that.
Thanks for JR on the pull-offs.
That's a big help.
No, like that the pull-offs are really a plus. I don't know if y'all have been on games, but the pull-offs are a plus. So, no, it's a work in progress.
Absolutely.
And we'll keep on working on it. Thank you.
And I'm just going to mention Horsey 100 very quickly because we relied on a lot of support, once again, because we were out at Scott County Park. So we had to utilize a lot of the county services, and we cannot thank Sheriff Hampton enough for having his office deputies out there for us. Really appreciated it, and the help that you all provided as they went out into the ride onto the country roads. And in addition, the public services, Mike Hannigan again, and JR, that really, did everything that we asked and everything that we needed. So we really appreciate all the support we're getting.
1,800 participants at the Horsey.
Yes. And one thing to remember is that they bring in close to $1 million in that 4 days. So it's a huge economic impact just in itself. So mountain bike's not quite there yet, but it will be.
We appreciate it.
you
Roy?
just don't know where they were in the woods.
And they do it throughout the year because there are constantly people from all over the state, from all over the country, actually, down there riding. So,
Mr. Cornett.
Laura, I had a cousin that comes in from St. Louis every year for the Horsey 100, and they were not complaining but commenting about the fact that their headquarters been moved out to Brooklyn Park instead of downtown, and want to know why. I didn't have an answer for that, but they say they'd like to see it come back downtown, so take it for what you were.
partly because of Georgetown College, we were not able to utilize the facilities this year, but that doesn't mean that it will not return down there. Every year they're evaluating and reviewing where they can host it, but due to some they were working on some of the dorm rooms. They were doing some other upgrades to the facilities and things. It just wasn't feasible to be there this year. So, kind of like when we had COVID and we weren't able to be there either because of the close proximity. We needed the space to move out, and then we went back to the college.
They went so far as to reach out to Rosemary. And Rosemary said, we'd like to have it back, so they were serious about it.
So they'll definitely be considering both locations. I know we've got a lot of feedback that the park was absolutely fabulous. The park is beautiful out there. It lent room for people to kind of spread out and branch out, so that was really nice. Of course, one of the pluses is out at Scott County at Brooking Park. We're able to bring in more food trucks. We're able to capitalize on our craft brews, our bourbon distillery. They were out there at the park. And those are things we can't do at the college, but not necessarily a reason not to be at the college.
Well, thank you all very, very much. Look forward to continuing to work on it.
Thank you.
Michael George is with us. Michael, I've shared some spreadsheets that you sent, and just thought it would be a great opportunity for Michael to just give the court an update and kind of a game plan. Michael, appreciate all you all do for us.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invite today, and as the judge said, wanted to kind of give you all an update on the general fund investments that we help you all manage. This doesn't incorporate all of your general fund dollars. Michelle maintains some operating money at various banks around town, and so this is kind of more on the reserve side of your cash position. And so what I wanted to do today was to kind of give you all an update as far as what your current investment holdings are, a summary of this past fiscal year, so kind of where you all are at to start FY24 versus where you're at today, and then maybe just real briefly talk about kind of the process that we go through every time we reinvest securities for you all. And so on the first page of this handout, I tried to simplify this as much as possible. The investment monies are held with Schwab. They're the custodian. And quite honestly, the Schwab printouts are kind of hard to read, so I wanted to hopefully simplify this for you guys. So on page 1, the current fund balance in this account is $15,688,000, and so we've broken out all of the various investment holdings on this first page. And so the overwhelming majority of this money is in U.S. Treasury bills or U.S. Treasury notes that mature anywhere from August of this year to February of next year. And the investment rate for those are shown on this page as well. So those Treasury holdings are anywhere from 5.25% to about 5.4%. And then additionally, you all have some money in a money market account, a liquid money market account that's earning 5.18, and that money can be moved around pretty much on a daily basis. And so that's the existing account holdings that you all have. And as these Treasury bills or Treasury notes mature, that is when we communicate with Michelle about rolling those into new Treasury purchases. And so we typically, every 3 to 6 months, you all have Treasury bonds that mature. We'll get with Michelle. We'll provide her with the investment rates for 3, 6, 9, 12-month Treasury bonds. She'll look at upcoming expenses and figure out if there's any need to have this money liquid, or if if you all can invest this in longer terms. And so we'll work with her to determine that and then reinvest that money as they roll off. And so that's kind of the process we go through. But again, the majority of this money are in U.S. Treasury bills and notes earning above 5.25%. And then real quickly, if you all want to turn to the second page, what we wanted to do was give you all a summary of the activity in the account for this fiscal year to date. And so on the top half of this page, I have kind of a summary of where you all were at effective 7/1 of 23, so the start of the fiscal year, versus today. And so you all started out at $15,103,000, and then the interest earnings on that account, less the advisory fees, totals $585,000. And so the kind of year-to-date interest earnings in the account, net of fees, is $585,000, which is where you get to the account balance of $15,688,000. And then below that account summary on this page, we've just got a breakdown of kind of month-by-month interest earnings from the money market and the Treasury purchases. And so that's where we're at today. Going forward, we'll continue to look at Treasury bonds and notes as they mature to figure out what is in your all's best interest. You've been very fortunate, or I could say we all have been very fortunate that short-term Treasury rates are very high relative to the previous 15, 20 years. And so, that may change towards the end of this year and next year as the Fed talks about potentially cutting interest rates. And so we'll be very diligent about trying to time the purchase of those securities and the maturity date of those securities with potential Fed meetings and things that may impact interest rates going forward.
Yeah, so how long are the Treasury bills generally for? Because with the election and there's going to be some turmoil, I would say, with the market, I anticipate these interest rates going down. I don't do this for a living, but I'm just guessing that's what's going to happen. So are we going to continue to do 3-month, 6-month Treasury bills just to kind of get a longer term plan on what we want to do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think the general consensus this time last year was that throughout the fiscal year 24 that the Fed was going to cut and interest rates were going to be lower. So everyone was trying to kind of rush to lock in rates, and that didn't happen. We've actually seen short-term rates kind of stabilize, and they've been in the same really position for the last 6 to 8 months. But going forward, I do expect as more economic data comes in, as there's presidential election, that there will be potential turmoil, and there could be situations where interest rates go down. And so to that point, as some of these mature, I think we will look at locking in maybe beyond 3 and 6 months, and assuming you all don't need the money, probably going out 9 to 12 months, just so you can kind of lock in that fixed rate. And so if you look at the most recent purchase you all made, it's that U.S. Treasury note on page 1 that's at 5.27%. And so we actually opted, when we talked to Michelle, the shorter term rates when we bought this security were closer to 5.35, but we opted to go out longer to February to lock in that rate. So to your point, I think as some of these roll off and we approach an election, there's more economic data, we'll have a better idea of maybe where the Fed's going to go, and we'll probably look at going longer term. But we typically don't recommend going beyond 12 months, just so you all have that liquidity.
The October maturity we'll have to watch. So
it's timely.
It is the time. Any other questions you all have? And Michael, I really appreciate your all's service and expertise and advice very much. And Michelle's always very complimentary, and I know what we're getting when we're working with you all.
Thank you all. Any more questions?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Now on deck is Elise. Elise, how are you? Good. So last night I got a couple of text messages about this topic. Had a Board of Adjustment meeting, and there's an upcoming request for a placement of a flagpole that would be at 80 feet, and it's out off of Triport Road on West Houston.
Correct, yeah.
And our ordinance would not allow for that as it is worded now. A few years ago, this was a similar subject, and would like Elise to kind of talk about the differences. And Elise, thanks for being here on short notice.
Of course, no problem for me. We're just down the street, so it's pretty easy, thankfully. So basically, as Joe Pat had alluded to, there's 2 sign ordinances that are operating in the community. There's the City of Georgetown. They have a version with some differing language, different sections, that type of deal. And then unincorporated Scott County and then Sadieville and Stamping Ground also use the same ordinance. With this, it's not terribly difficult, but we do have a difference. So we do often have to check one way or another. Are you in the city? Are you in the county? And the item that is the biggest difference between the 2 ordinances is the flag ordinance. When the Camping World site was wanting to do their large flag, they around the same time Georgetown was looking at making some improvements to allow for larger flags on properties, to allow people to have flagpoles. As long as they aren't a larger area or a taller area, you could get them exempt, but if you had larger ones, you would need accommodations with the Board of Adjustment. That amendment is that amendment is not the situation for Scott County, so we're still operating on a different system that caps the height of a flagpole to 32 feet in the area, I believe, to 24 feet, and so we have those differences here. We have an applicant that is located in the northern part of Triport Industrial Park that is interested in doing something similar to Camping World's operation and location of their flag, and we're just now looking at least from right now, our ordinance wouldn't allow for any consideration of anything taller than 32 feet. So if we wanted to entertain essentially a similar style of flag placement and height and area and visibility from interstate locations, we would need to consider making an amendment to the standing Scott County sign ordinance to kind of essentially have it match the Georgetown ordinance, or if we were interested in, if different areas or items that are under discussion, like electronic signs, we could also consider kind of taking on the Georgetown one and then making some additional modernizations to the ordinances. Because I believe the Scott County ordinance is from 2009, and the Georgetown ordinance, with its recent amendment, I think they were last updated in 2015, 2016. So a lot of technologies have changed, a lot of construction has changed, so that may warrant a complete rewrite, but at least for this application and then this instance, we would be looking at adding an amendment to allow for flag installation larger than what is currently allowed.
Lisa,
Yes.
so the issue with the Camping World was they were afraid if it blew over, it would fall across the interstate ramp as you're going on
Yes.
I-75 South. The I believe it's at 400 West Houston, 396 West Houston.
Correct.
The question is would the location of the flagpole, if it fell within 80 foot, it's not going to obstruct or
No,
erupt?
it would really just interrupt the operations of Triport.
Sure.
If that was the case, it'd be hitting West Houston or Triport Road, or most likely most of the property in the location that they were proposing, it would hit its own property. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be getting close to the interstate. It's really central to the property. It's pretty far from interstate areas or even Cherry Blossom Way or the railway. It's just kind of in the center of the area.
I understand. Well,
I would be, I'd really value the opportunity to look at a suggested amendment that would mirror the Georgetown ordinance for us to consider. I would like to look at that. So maybe could you send, I know you probably already have them, could you send those to Cam and highlight the differences? Would that work?
I'm happy to work on that. And give it
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
I can do that.
And you mentioned electronic signs have been coming up. What can you point on that as well?
So, yeah, the most recent instance I can think of is the Oxford Village Christian Church area that's over there. They were interested in having just like a band sign on the bottom with their name on the top, and then have it kind of roll through with events coming through. And we still technically call them changeable copy signs. They have limited provisions on digital accommodations and that type of deal. And so it may be warranted with new technologies that we would consider seeing what changes have been made, seeing if there's additional consideration and regulation we need to take on to make sure these are done safely with brighter LEDs and those types of things in these increased areas. I don't think that this Oxford Christian sign would cause an issue. We ultimately recommended approval as staff, and it was passed by the board. But there may be instances where we start to see more activity in the county areas that are interested in having electronic signs because they're more effective at advertising quick events. You don't have to go out there and put up all the pieces and parts. But that would be something that we could consider, kind of just seeing. Gas stations use a lot of those as well. Those are really the main two I could see them doing it.
So it's definitely something to discuss in the future.
Yes.
Any questions for Elise on that? And then I do want to make comment. The 12th
Correct.
at 6
Correct.
o'clock will be a comprehensive plan public meeting.
Yes.
And that is at the Extension office.
Yep.
And want to encourage any and all that's interested to attend. And the amount of work that you all have put in, appreciate it greatly, and really thank you. And what other questions would anyone have?
well, when we created the sign ordinance, I was around back then. We thought they tried to make it
When dirt was young.
Yeah, that's right. We thought it was going to look like Las Vegas, and that's why they kept the traditional way. And the county was really opposed to that, but it hasn't done that. They thought it'd be distractions and wrecks, and now we got electronic billboards with different things on it. And I think that it's probably time to update. It's probably 20 years old.
I mean, right now, at least the most recent version is from 2009. There's a lot of references to things that are in organizations that are no longer a thing. My favorite one that someone regularly points out to me is the definition of tomfoolery. There's no reference. It's just in there. And I think it's amazing. It's my favorite one, and I would ask that we keep that. Tomfoolery. It's the last one in the definitions. I think it's great. Two other items. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Roy would remember this. The old Fitch's Drugs, they put a big banner, like a big thing out there, and people in Georgetown threw a fit for like an awning, and so we ended up creating a sign ordinance. But we've changed and evolved. And
Craziness downtown.
Yeah.
I would
Central Bank redone. It had those signs around there today are backlit, and that's a violation of the sign ordinance.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little bit silly. So those lights are turned off. But then when fast forward, we're seeing some digital signs up down Main Street, well, anywhere else. So,
Yep.
which is it?
Yeah,
Which
so
is it?
we can kind of address that. Two items of recent note that I are not related explicitly to this flag instance, but there are provisions on it in the city. Are alcohol ordinance related signs, so advertising of alcohol in bars and everything like that, and subdivision signs. We have been seeing an influx of HOAs reaching out to us wanting to get updated subdivision signage, and they have these weird provisions that they have versus, like, we have to kind of treat it one way versus the city of Georgetown's ordinance does have a subdivision specific one that has, like, you need to have facades, you need to make it look nice, that type of deal. So I think that would be another thing that we would see.
So would it make sense to hit this flagpole difference first, and then come back with a more comprehensive, maybe sweep
I think
of,
that would be the most
of
appropriate
the other
strategy.
sign pieces?
I think the amount of resources
Yeah.
we'd want to devote and the care that we would take to make sure it fits the community's needs
Yeah.
and would be really effective. But for the short term, I think consideration of the flag addition would be
Okay.
a beneficial
And then a
addition.
longer term, after we get this comp plan done,
Yes.
update on the other pieces.
Yes, there's
All
many
right.
items we want to fix in our ordinances, so I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of me or other representatives of our group.
Well, appreciate your time.
The judge, just
Rick.
Yes.
backing up to was it June the 12th for the comprehensive?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to see us promote that as much, because we get a lot of really good comments. That's where the committee gets a lot of input from the community, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
So,
I
Yes.
appreciate it. Thank you, Lise.
Of course.
The next item I have note of, I shared, the fiscal court has followed the state of Kentucky holiday schedule for as long as I remember, and as long as I think that's been the practice. And recently, on the 23rd of May, Governor Beshear made Juneteenth an executive branch state holiday. Now, Juneteenth is also a federal holiday as well. It's a bank holiday as well. And, coming up with, the timing of this with the 23rd, I wanted to point this out to the court, share this information with the court. There's several counties that now observe Juneteenth as a holiday, and several cities as well. So my recommendation would be to strongly consider, once we get the state holiday calendar, is we look at this in the future for next year as an official holiday. Just to remind you, and I shared this in the email, from Jeff's just back of the napkin estimate, it's around $47,000 would be the cost for reimbursement for holiday pay for first responders. It'd be about that cost to do that. And just wanting you to know that fact. And then here on June 19th this year, the PVA, since Governor Beshear made it an executive branch, the PVA will not be functioning. The county clerk can function, but any transactions that would involve the PVA, they'll have to turn those folks away. So, it's just a short turnaround. We did not have this in the budget nor the plan, but I would recommend that we strongly consider for June 19th of 2025. Comments or questions? All right. Now I'm going to ask Jeff to speak about, we've talked about this a little bit, but I do think it merits some more conversation. Just looking at the potential of a parental leave policy as a benefit, and I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Sure. What you have in front of you is a draft paid parental leave policy. The provisions of this policy would be to provide 2 weeks of time off or up to 10 days of paid parental leave for the birth of a child or placement of a child with an employee for adoption. You can kind of see there the eligibility for this benefit would be that you have to be employed in a full-time capacity and have worked for at least 12 months. And then we're also following the provisions of the family medical leave policy that you had to have worked 1,250 hours in the prior 12-month period as well. This is to cover a person who's given birth to a child or is the spouse or biological parent of a woman who has given birth, or for the adoption of a child or placement of a foster child as long as that child's under 12 years of age. And in addition, you can kind of see there, if you get married to somebody, adopt that person's child, that doesn't make you eligible. It has to be a new placement of a child with a family. Other provisions of this is that it has to be taken that 2-week period immediately following the birth or adoption of the child, and it must be taken in one continuous period. So it's not like you can take some of it now, some of it later. So the goal is to use it immediately as soon as the adoption or birth occurs, and then it's for that continuous period. So, and just to kind of give you an idea of what the current practice is, well, right now a person has to use their sick leave and or vacation leave to stay in a paid leave status, and this would just be an additional benefit we're providing to our employees of 2 weeks. Now, what I do know is that I did a quick search of some old email and looking for some activity on this amongst the human resources group that I'm a part of, and I saw where, like, for example, Woodford County provides 6 weeks of parental leave right now. Nicholasville provides 4 weeks. And Owensboro.
Jeff, sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
Are you saying paid leave, or
Yes.
are you saying just leave?
Paid leave.
Difference.
Yes,
Okay.
paid leave. Yes.
Woodford County's got paid leave. Okay.
Yes, paid leave. And as you know, I think part of what brought this up was that the state, in their legislative session this past year, proposed providing 6 weeks of parental leave to employees, but that didn't pass. So I think that was the genesis.
That was one of the, and then I had a question about it from a staff member as well, and
Right.
I've noticed as well on social media, like Oldham County recently adopted it, and yeah, it's my job to bring to the court items for your consideration, and if this is the pleasure of the court to look at adding as a policy, then that's what we can bring back. If that, I want feedback from you all, and then we'll go from there.
So do you have to have a certain amount of sick days or days banked to be able to do this?
No, this would be just an additional policy, an additional benefit we're providing to our employees.
You have to work a year. You
had to
had to
work
be
a year,
here a
yes.
year with us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 2 weeks is what we've thrown in here.
On the towards the top it says, have given birth to a child, be the spouse or the biological parent of a woman who has given birth. Does that intend to say be the spouse of the person that's given birth or be the biological parent of the child? Didn't know if that needs to be edited, or we can talk about that later. See what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm confused on that one too.
be the spouse or biological parent of a woman.
Are you saying if you're...
I mean, it could be a boyfriend, I guess is what I'm saying, but you're the biological
But
parent.
the way it reads is the biological parent of the woman who has given birth. So it reads like it's the grandparent. That's not what you mean, right?
Well, what we're trying to cover is I guess in this is the male.
spouse.
Yeah.
Or the parent of the child that's being born.
Right, yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's maybe a slight tweak
Okay.
in the wording.
So right now, if a female employee has a child, that's covered in FMLA. It's either 6 weeks or 8 weeks for cesarean, that type of deal. That's paid leave, correct?
As long as they use their sick or vacation.
their sick day.
They use
It doesn't. FML does not pay you.
Okay. But then the spouse can get 2 weeks of pay off. Pay time off.
If under this policy.
Yeah, right. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, what I'm trying to do is equate it to what we have to do in the school system. You got to take your days.
But that's being looked at, though. That's probably going to be an issue that the schools do. Old County and other counties.
There's going to be more and more counties looking at this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not saying that's not the route to go. I'm just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
Well, in schools, you can share days, too.
Well, that's true.
I mean, it's like, Christian, our kids.
I know.
They get 5 days.
I gave plenty of them away too.
Yeah, so I don't know that every, I think we can do that in this state.
Probably not.
No, we can't. Yeah, there's a
We have a
bank.
sick leave. We have
There's
a
a
sick
bank.
leave bank, but it's not a sharing program. It's not as generous, I think, as what the state has right now, or the school system has. Yeah.
Schools are pretty generous.
Yeah.
Is this something you all want us to bring back for consideration at a future meeting? Okay. Thank you, Rob. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think you ought to look at it.
All right.
If we don't, I mean, it's already happening.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what we're trying to do here is be a model for others to follow. I mean, you can look at what others are doing and try to mimic them, but I think this is an opportunity for us to take the lead and be a model for others.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. What other counties are doing it already? And when you said Jessamine Wood,
Yeah.
that's just a reason for somebody else to go to work there instead of staying here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Just want to bring up EMS station, sheriff's office project, and then farmers market, and also some updates. But I shared that email about the claim from Marilla, and about the poor soil, unsuitable soil conditions, and Jordan Haney with Thoroughbred, Ian Beatty and I have talked. JR has been involved in all these conversations. They're looking at the claims, and it's under the eye of Thoroughbred as well. So, we've got Thoroughbred there as a third-party eye. But they're looking at it, and I just wanted you all to be aware of the conversation and the potential claim. Nobody likes having to pay, this additional monies for essentially what will be a change order request. But the weather has impacted, and once we get up out of the dirt and up, onto the, foundation and the structure of the building, then those variables go down. But any do you all have any questions about that? And I'll bring the facts and data that's given to me to you all once it's presented. But it is part of the contract, and it is what it is, and we can't control Mother Nature, and nothing we can do. I just wanted you to be aware of that. June 17th is what has been communicated to me as the start date for the farmers market in the lower parking lot. JR and his crew as June 15th, when the farmers market closes, they will go down there and put some barricades up in the footprint of the farmers market. I've shared this with Jessica McQuaid. She's going to share this with the farmers market folks, and they're going to move, to what I understand, to Cardone. So we'll try to help communicate that. But my understanding is by the middle of July, the actual physical structure, the fabricated steel structure, will be trucked in phases. As they unload it, the goal is to erect it. So that's, what I know now about that. Sheriff's office, JR and I.
Can I go back to that again?
Sure.
So is that like a 8-week bill, 12-week bill?
I think once they get started, it's like 12 weeks.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
If I remember, and I'll try to get an update on that. The sheriff's office they've got steel going up. They're getting ready to pour that first floor. They're making hay. It looks like to me, and trying to catch up, and looks positive to me. So the substantial completion dates that have been shared, I think December 9th or something like that for the sheriff's office, and they're sticking to it. They're saying that they can make up this time, and then I think December 18th or something like that for the EMS station. So just wanting to give you updates on that. Later this month, we had a pre-bid meeting on the Hall of Justice bids this week. I think the 26th is the date that we will open bids for the Hall of Justice, and hopefully get ground broken on that shortly thereafter, and moving on. I'm just very thankful that we've gotten to the point where we're accepting bids and getting ready to move forward on it. It's a big project, and it's going to be exciting for downtown Georgetown.
I got a call about that. I told them it's about 2-year build out on that too.
About 2 years.
Okay.
It's close to 70,000 square feet.
Oh, it's like building school.
It's a big project. It's not as big as Sky County High School, but it's a big project.
That was our tour guy this morning. That'd be good. DKY.
Yeah.
He was taking us through.
I didn't get to see it. I wanted to mention, especially here on the west side, I've met several times with Gilpin Masonry and JR as well. We're going to have to do some repairs in 2 phases because of stone availability. That stone has to be essentially, crafted from a slab to try to match what we have to replace out here. Plus, the mortar is it's kind of a special formula. So Mr. Gilpin, who's the same company that did this in 1992, they're going to do 2 phases. The first phase is going to be around $30,000. The second phase will come in later, but I'm going to bring that to you at the next court as a approval. But I don't know if you've noticed, but there's several stones over there that have to be repaired, and we've got to take care of this. And then I've got a question for you as well, and a proposal from Shrout, Tate, and Wilson. Our heating and HVAC here needs to be redone. And Mullis, who is our go-to that has serviced us for many years, they gave us kind of a roadmap of what they think needs to be done. But you still have to have a bid spec, and you have to have an engineer that designs the upgrades. And Tyler Wilson with Shrout, Tate, and Wilson is recommending to me, that before we sit down and design an upgrade, that he do something called commissioning. About $4,200 is what he's offering to do it at. But he will then give us hard data. Yes, the chiller needs to be replaced. It's operating at 50% capacity or whatever it is. The boilers need this or whatever. I personally think it's the way to go, because then we know what we need to fix or not, and we're not just throwing darts. You've done this. You all been involved. Is this something you think we should move forward with? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and authorize the commissioning, and then after he does the commissioning, then I'll bring back to you all putting a bid out, and he'll draw up all the bid specs and such. So I just wanted you to know that it's in the budget. We need it. It has to be done. I don't know if you've noticed our new generator that's been placed. There's been a lot of work around the county at different sites, and we're trying to go around and get this generator project finalized. So that's exciting. I want to ask JR to speak about the tree cleanup. And once again, JR and his team have been hard at it since that Sunday, 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Sunday.
Yes.
Thanks, JR.
Sunday the 26th, the storm hit about noon, hard and fast, southwestern part of the county, took down a massive amount of trees out in that area and blocked several roads, and we immediately responded with heavy equipment, and the judge even came out and helped us.
I don't know how much help I gave,
Well,
but I was there for moral support.
Yes.
Now, me and Big Eye did clean off
Yes.
some crumb ball,
I know you did.
some crumb ball
Yes,
action.
We appreciate it, but created a lot of damage, and our main concern was getting all the roads opened up, which we did about 7 hours with a team of about 10 people, and then the cleanup started on Tuesday. So everybody's been on board. We've hauled off 50 tandem loads of tree debris, some 3-foot diameter trees, and chipped up about 20 dump truck loads of chips. We've got 3 crews going, and still today. But we've got a lot of stuff already cleaned up, but a lot of people still got yards or cleaning up. So it'll trickle in for the next probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks, just spotty here and there. But we'll get it all cleaned up, and it was a massive amount of damage. But no houses and everything that I know of, other than trim, a few roofs and everything, which is great.
So, wouldn't you say the Fisher's Mill out there on that western side was the
Yes.
hardest hit?
It was.
And,
It was.
You know, just to let you all know why we need equipment. That big front end loader, I mean,
It
if
was
they
a
didn't
beast.
have that equipment, and then the claw truck that you have.
Yes.
But I got to watch them move with that front end loader. It was 5-6 feet in diameter.
Yes.
And that thing, that front end loader, it threw it around like, you know, it moved it off. And, you know, getting the roads open is the most important thing.
Yes.
But if we didn't have that equipment, we'd be short-handed.
It would be tough.
So
And-
your all's support of that is important.
And not only us, but the fire department, EMA, we were all out there, sheriff's department, everybody was out there working together as a team on this, doing whatever was needed, but we appreciate all that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And you want to mention any road paving? I know you've been driving around with Mark, and like, where are they at? Are they paving some of our work right now?
They are starting, yes.
For next fiscal year, or for this
Next fiscal
Yeah,
year, but
okay.
we will. They finished up everything for the past one,
Past,
this
right. Okay.
current one, but they're starting on what we're doing now.
Yeah.
In the next budget year, I think Coal Ridge is one of them. They've started on West Honaker.
Cold Ridge yesterday.
Yeah, Jones Lane, and they're just going to move through the list. We've got several out in Mallard Point that we're going to do, and which is going to be a little complicated out there, but we're going to do it. And
Doing what you're talking about in Mallard Point made sense too, JR. The arteries,
yes,
and then coming back later and hitting
Yes.
the main thoroughfare, because it's
we'll do it in phases because Mallard Point's probably 11, 12 miles out in there, and we'll have to do it a little bit at a time over a few years.
And then the other piece, and you and I talked about this, you know, we got $480,000 in discretionary requests that we made, a grant essentially, to
Yes.
do Triport, and Triport's much needed. We need to pull the chain, see, hey, when are y'all going to authorize this work? So JR and I will reach out on that. But anybody have any other questions or comments about road projects? I know 227 is going, and then on 460 that
It's
non-skid.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
Yes,
week.
And just a lot of things going. So
a lot of good things going on.
So, does anyone else have any comments for the court?
I went away on Lexus this morning. I guess they're fixing to start the water line extension out through there.
Well, they've laid that stuff out for,
They
and
had cones out there.
they had cones out there. They were the last thing they were needing was permission to cut through the drive-ins, and they needed one from Whitaker Properties, and I think they were getting that. So I hopefully if they got cones out, then they
The cone, that's the first time I noticed it this morning.
yeah, but it looked different.
Yeah.
Maybe they get them start. JR's been working on EMS, getting KU out there to get electricity to the site. So it's a process, but I'll try to follow up on that. And then the Porter Road fire hydrant that we did with Kentucky American, We actually got $2,500 back. Everybody got $2,500 back. It came in cheaper, so we'll take that $2,500. If anybody else has anything for the court, Sheriff, you got anything? Revel Oliver, how are you this morning?
How are you? I come to you all this morning for approval. We're looking for approval to purchase 24 Tahoe. We do have the money in the current budget. It will replace a 2011 that has $160,000. It's kind of at the end of its life.
So we've talked about that was a request in last year's budget or in this coming year's budget, and they want to take a vehicle that's got 160,000 miles, move it in out of reserve,
correct,
and then move another vehicle into reserve, and then purchase this Tahoe. Michelle says they have plenty of the cash in their special projects line.
Correct.
So we would have to approve this next Friday, but I told Revel it'd be a good idea to come and throw it up the flagpole. If you have the money in the special projects line, that's a different story to consider, and I would certainly support it.
And we did talk to Bachman Chevrolet. They do have one in stock as of last week. So
the right color red?
Well, believe it or not, it's black.
All right.
It's going to be wrapped red at the bottom with the
So
new
you're going to
color
wrap
scheme.
it?
Yes.
All right. But any questions?
Correct.
Revel, thank you, and we'll put that on the agenda for next week.
Thank you very much.
All right. If there's no other business, then we'll